Bet horse racing on DRF Bets. We'll match your first deposit of $200. Get free expert picks and past performances, plus weekly cash back. All from Daily Racing Form, the most trusted name in horse racing.
Hi everyone, David Aragona here with Craig Milkowski, taking a look at one of the stakes on Cigar Mile Saturday. Actually, the race being run right before the Cigar Mile at that same 1 mile distance. It is race 8, the grade 3 Go for Juan. This one for the fillies and mares, older fillies and mares going that 1 mile distance, run one turn on the oval at Aqueduct. And Craig, we've got a field of 11 signed on for this one. Definitely the most wide open of the stakes that are being run at Aqueduct on Saturday.
It definitely is. This is one I had to spend more time on. As you know, we're doing this sequence for our podcast as well. And this was a tough race, I thought. Lots of horses have chances to win this one.
Yeah, we'll throw up the field for this race, and you can see that I made the number 3 Battle Bling the lukewarm morning line favorite at 3-1. I've got Co's second choices on the morning line, the number 7 Dr. B at 4-1, along with the number 10 Bank Sting. I've got some pretty good New York breds in this race stepping out against Open Company, but Battle Bling, Craig, she does seem like the one to beat coming in off a 3-race winning streak. She's handled the mile in the past, even though she's gone longer recently, but she might have to work out a trip from off the pace, unlike in some of her recent starts.
That's my big concern with her. She's shown pretty far back on the pace projector for a horse who has won on or very close to the lead in all 3 of her last 3 wins.
And let's take a look at that Timeform US pace projector, because it does seem like there's quite a bit of speed signed on in this race. So no surprise to see that fast pace flag showing up here. And the number 7, Dr. B, she's definitely a quick filly coming out of some sprint races. She figures to be forwardly placed, but there are others who have done their best work towards the front end. The number 5, Sharapova, definitely wants to be up there. The number 6, Self-Isolation, has shown tactical speed in the past. The number 10, Banksting, one of those New York breds, she sometimes shows early speed. So I wouldn't be surprised if this heats up on the front end.
No, exactly. And I don't want to totally write Battle Bling off. It's not like she hasn't run well from off the pace in the past, but it would seem a little odd to change tactics given the hot streak that she's on.
Now, in conjunction with the Timeform US pace projector, let's also talk about a new feature that you can find in Timeform US PPs, or the new version of Timeform US that's being rolled out, which you can find on DRF.com under the DRF mobile PPs. Going to the Timeform US tab, it is the finish projector, and you can see you can toggle over to it from the pace projector in those new Timeform US PPs. And we'll take a look at who Timeform US is predicting will be the winner of this race based on their finishing positions. And Craig, I'm not going to give anything away, but we might be agreeing with this one a little bit, as the number 10 Banksting is shown as the winner over the number 8 Betsy Blue. Those are both New York breds in this field, with Battle Bling in third. And no surprise, Craig, because they are coming in with some of the fastest speed figures of anybody.
Right. These are visual representation of the Timeform US power picks that we've seen in the past. It's been a staple since the product debuted. And as you mentioned, they are largely based on the speed figures and the spotlight figure as well.
Yeah, this is showing, as Craig said, visual representation of those power picks and showing gaps between the runners, which we didn't previously have in the power picks. They're just showing a 1, 2, 3. This kind of shows the level of dominance that horses in this race might have over some others. And I think it's telling that half the field is not even shown in this graphic. So big disparity in quality between some of the favorites and the long shots, at least based on their data in Timeform US PPs. Well, let's go through some of the contenders and see if we agree with this finish projection, beginning with the horse drawn on the rail, the number 1, Love in the Air. We'll take a look at her last race when she won the Plum Pretty for Pennsylvania breds. And, you know, Craig, they've tried to run this filly on the turf many times throughout her career, but if you just isolate her dirt races, she's won her last 4 dirt races in a row, maybe against weaker competition, but she certainly looked good doing it.
Yeah, it seems a little crazy that they keep trying to run on turf. She's certainly done very little wrong on the dirt. She has taken a big step up in class here, as you can obviously see coming out of that Pennsylvania bred race. She set a slow pace on the front end last time, was able to hold off some of the others. But this is a huge step up in class here. So she's really not for me. She would need to improve her speed figure by at least 3 or 4 lengths. And she also faces a lot of early speed from that inside draw.
Yeah, she's one even more so than Battle Bling that could be negatively affected by that pace projector because she has been up close to some slower paces in her recent starts. She's one that does prefer to be forwardly placed, and it could be tough to get forward position with other faster speed drawn to the outside from this rail position. But I don't want to totally discount this filly because she might be better than those speed figures indicate. She's been winning those races really easily, but like you said, Craig, it is a big step up in class for her. Let's go 2 slots to the outside to take a look at that boarding line favorite, the number 3 Battle Bling, and we'll check out her last out victory in the turn back the alarm over this course. This was going a bit farther, the 1.125 distance around 2 turns. WW Fitzy, she's also in this race. She's the one in the yellow or the pink blinkers that's fading off the screen right now. But Battle Bling, Craig, just another solid performance from a mare that typically shows up with good efforts.
She's been really consistent. Her speed figures have all been right around that 110, give or take a few points. Last race, as we see when we look at her PPs, it shows that it was a track that heavily favored speed. I went back and looked at the chart. Speed certainly was an asset on that day. I don't think it carried her to the win. And it's not like she doesn't have other efforts to back that one up.
Yeah, and she's also a filly, as you were mentioning, with regard to the pace projector. She has shown more versatility in the past coming from off the pace, especially when they've tried these shorter distances. She seems like she's a little more adept at closing when they go faster up front, so she's likely to be in that situation here. We'll see if she's able to make it 4 in a row, as she's gotten some pretty good trips in her recent races, and sometimes horses like this tend to take a little bit too much money off strings of wins like that. The other horse that's coming out of the turn back, the alarm, Craig, the number 4, WW Fitzy, obviously did not run her race last time, but she is one who has some back races that would put her in the mix if she could find her old form.
I agree, and it's not like you have to go far back to find those back races. You can see 2 and 4 back. She's run right around that 115 number, which would be good enough to win. So you would have to have a little bit of leap of faith to trust that just something wasn't right that last time. She didn't have a great trip in there. As we said, speed was holding, but she was up near the front end. A little wide on the turn, but I would definitely want some extra value to give a total pass on that last try in the turn back the alarm.
Yeah, my one caveat with her is the Tom Morley barn, who she switched into, has been pretty cold lately. I think they just had one victory over the past couple months from quite a few starters. Not a lot of short prices in that sample, but just seems like the barn's not really firing right now. And her last performance kind of fits in with that pattern. So they're going to have to try to wake her up and get back to some of those better efforts. But like you said, she is one who has speed figures not so long ago that could make her a player in this race. Let's move 2 slots to her outside and talk about the number 6 Self-Isolation. And kind of like Battle Bling, she's another one that's coming into this race off a 3-race winning streak. One of those actually was achieved in a dead heat with another runner 2 back. But she came right back at a higher allowance level and was able to win right back over this Aqueduct course. She's clearly in good form right now for trainer David Jacobson, but just has to get a little faster.
She does. As you can see, she always runs around a 100. The race rating for this race is a 113 going into it. So that's a pretty big jump for me for a horse who, as you said, when horses are reeling off wins like this, they tend to get a little bit over bet, in my opinion. So she's probably not going to be for me unless the bettors just completely ignore her.
A horse that's definitely in good form right now is the number 7, Dr. B. Let's take a look at her last race when she arguably put forth the best effort of her career to be second in the pumpkin pie. This was going 7 furlongs at Aqueduct, and 7 furlongs is the farthest that she's ever gone on the dirt. But she was closing pretty well this day into what was not a particularly fast pace behind Boston Post Road, who was a short price this day, a Chad Brown trainee who has posted some big speed figures before. And Dr. B gives her all that she can handle coming onto the wire, trying to run after her. I think the big question for Dr. B, Craig, is can she handle the extra furlong?
Right, because she's been pretty much purely a sprinter. What I did like in that race was she was not only close to the win, there was a big gap of back to the 3rd place finisher. I like the jump in speed figures back to some of her better races. So I do think she's a contender in here. As you said, the one real concern is that extra furlong that she really hasn't ever tried to navigate in her career.
Based on the way she finished last time, you might not be too concerned about it. And from a pedigree standpoint, she is certainly bred to get a mile. She's by Liam's Map, who is known as more of a route sire. And on the dam side, her dam Bolin, she was actually second in the Demoiselle a number of years ago. And that's a 9-furlong race for 2-year-old fillies that they're running on this Aqueduct card on Saturday. So there is some stamina there, but we'll see if she can run to that pedigree because, as you said, she's been much more of a sprinter so far in her career. Couple of horses that are both New York breds competing here, stepping out into open company, are Betsy Blue and Banksting. Let's take a look at them when they hooked up last time out in the Iroquois Stakes against state breds at Aqueduct. This was just going 6.5 furlongs, so both will be stretching out off this race. And the Reach coming off losses at short prices. They were the two almost co-favorites in this race. They took most of the money, and they got different trips. That's Betsy Blue down towards the inside, Banksting on the outside, and they both lost the stake, Greg, but I will say, having watched a lot of Aqueduct racing and kind of paying attention to track biases on a lot of these tracks, I felt like speed was particularly good on the day they ran this Iroquois, so that might have worked against both of them.
I agree with that. It's one that didn't quite make the cut for getting a color coding on the track bias in Timeform US. I don't remember the exact details, but I know it was close. So I did want to give both of these a little bit of a pass. Banksting was also coming off about a 4-month layoff coming into this race. I thought she ran fine, particularly she was wide around the turn, and I think she's a very strong contender in here.
Yeah, she's just a very reliable filly, or I should say mare at this point. She's 5 years old, who always seems to show up with good effort. She loves to win races, 8 for 13 lifetime, so no knocks against Banksting. And like you said, she might have some upside second off the layoff. But I also think Betsy Blue was very interesting in this race because she did not get an ideal trip last time, in my opinion. Even though the pace was fast, I just thought the track was working against her, and she was kind of always behind horses, taking kickback. Jose Lezcano angles her down to the rail in the stretch to try to make a run, which I often don't like with a deep closer, especially over a sandy track where there's a lot of kickback like Aqueduct. And it just seemed like she never really found her best stride that day. But prior to that, Craig, Betsy Blue had been in great form, reeling off 2 consecutive victories by open lengths, a fast win 3-back at Saratoga over a heavy favorite Brattle House. If she can get back to those kinds of races, she's a real contender here.
I like your case that you made for the last race, because those 2 races before that were really good and would make her one of the favorites in this race if she didn't have that last running line. So I like the excuse that you found there. The one concern, she's another who I don't believe has ever gone past 7 furlongs in her career. But looking at those races 2 and 3 back where she was able to track a slow pace and finish powerfully to win them both really easily, I would suspect that extra furlong is not going to be a big issue for her.
Yeah, she does have one victory going a 1-turn mile very early in her career before she turned into the horse that she is now, a much slower speed figure race. So hard to put too much stock in that to rely on her stamina. But like you said, she's just doing better right now. And the way that she's finishing off her race at 7 furlongs, it makes you think that maybe she can get this 1-mile distance. And as we throw up our picks for this race, obviously you can see I'm hoping that is the case because I did put Betsy Blue on top here. I think she might be a slightly better price than Banksting based on the prices they were last time, the fact that she's got some more distance questions to answer, whereas Banksting has already handled the mile. And if I get somewhere around that 6-1 morning line, I think that's a fair price on Betsy Blue. And she's also a closer in a race that we already talked about, does feature a lot of pace.
Yeah, if I had to do my pick 4, top 4 over again, she'd definitely find her way in there. I've got no problems with her. I settled on Banksting for some of the reasons you said. I don't think the track was great. I think our track was great for her style last time. I like her races before that. She always seems to run around that 110, a little bit higher speed figure. And I'm expecting some improvement second off the layoff.
Yeah, I don't think either of us are way against the favorite Battle Bling, just kind of exposed at this point based on her recent form, might be a short price. And I'm very interested to see what we get from the number 7, Dr. B, a horse that might have really taken a big step forward last time. But like others in this race, she has to answer that distance question in the 1-mile Go for Wand on Saturday at Aqueduct. Good luck if you're playing the races this weekend.